welcome to 2 Off the First. It is May the 22nd, 2023. Good to have you with us for today's Monday post-PGA Championship show. Hope you enjoyed the weekend that was up in Rochester at Oak Hill. Obviously, we're going to talk about the PGA Championship, the outcome, Brooks Koepka becoming a 5-time major champion, a 3-time PGA Championship winner on the East Course in what turned out to be a pretty thrilling finale. We'll also talk about Michael Block a little bit, what maybe the natural reaction is, how this might just play out over the next couple of weeks, and just kind of revel in something pretty cool happening for a guy that's been at this game a long time. We are presented by our friends at Swannies. If you're watching the show wearing great Swannies polo today, love the prints. Been getting compliments about these out at school functions, parent functions. People really like the Swannies polos. Had a couple of people that watch from afar that have said they really like the floral print ones. Those are made with Reprieve fabric, and that's a recycled material. These are not. These are kind of more of like a jersey style, super comfortable both ways. Head over to Swannies Golf and check them out. They're available at retailers as well as their own website. And we are close to the 100-day mark before our trip to Ireland. So excited. Going with Club Choice Ireland. They're taking care of everything for us, getting us set up with a car. My friend Brendan Sweeney and I. Sweeney is Irish, not by birth, but he is an Irish citizen. We're going to be going around Ireland playing golf, documenting it all. We're going to have a lot of fun with that, but we are getting close to that 100-day mark. So Club Choice Ireland, thank you for putting that together for us, and check them out for more information about tours in Ireland. Okay. PGA Championship happens. Brooks Koepka wins. He wins by 2. I feel like if the unfortunate situation for Viktor Hovland having to take a drop and then make 6, take a penalty drop for an unplayable, make 6, once 16 doesn't happen, maybe there's an outside chance we get to a playoff, and there's probably going to always be that what if for Viktor Hovland, who has now been in the mix in 3 majors in a row, but there's no guarantee that would have happened. Koepka played a perfect final hole. 17 was not so great. I think he knew he had one at that point, kind of relaxed for a second, blasted a drive 100 yards right of the target that he probably had, or at least it felt that way. Took his medicine, made his bogey. And for Hovland, who made birdie on the final hole to tie for second place with Scottie Scheffler, who had a really nice final round, I think that was at least a decent consolation, but he had to wonder, and probably will continue to wonder for quite some time, what if he didn't have to deal with that bunker on 16. Unfortunate situation, but also Hovland wasn't able to take advantage of some of the opportunities that he was given early in the round. Koepka came out guns blazing, played very well, played like a guy who was trying to win. We'll talk about that in a minute, instead of a guy trying to just kind of hang on to a lead. And I think Hovland did a great job of staying in there. For a guy that said he needed to slow down, for a guy that said afterward that it was difficult going toe-to-toe with a guy who's won 4 major championships, I think Hovland did a great job. Where he struggled was really to take advantage of the mistake by Koepka on number 6. It looked like it was going to be potentially a double, turned out to be a bogey. Unfortunately, Hovland missed a couple relatively short ones that he probably could have made and would have applied a little bit more pressure. I think by the time they got to 11, it was at that point in the round that Brooks knew he was at holes that he could score upon. And then they made runs, and it was great, compelling, interesting golf, but it wasn't ever enough to turn the tide, flip the script, and get Hovland to the lead. And by the time you get to that point, the 16, 17, and 18 holes, obviously what happened on 16 happened, but even where he had made a par, Hovland did, I still think Koepka would have been in the catbird seat to win a 5th major. And kudos to Koepka for playing the 70th hole the way that he did. He put his ball in play. He knew his opponent was in trouble. As soon as his opponent hit his 3rd shot, opening the very realistic possibility that he was going to make double and probably lose the tournament, he just absolutely drilled that nail in the coffin, hitting pretty much right away his approach shot. He knew what he had to do. It was an accessible pin. He knew he had to hit the front third of the green and just let it roll to the target. He did just that. Hit it to 3-4 feet. Makes the birdie. Tournament's over because he's got a 4-shot lead. No one's going to catch him. And kudos to, again, Scheffler for playing from behind, but he really gave up a couple of opportunities early, I think, to apply a little bit more pressure as well. They just weren't able to do it, neither Hovland nor Scheffler. And in the end, it was pretty easy, all things considered, for Brooks Koepka to win that 5th major championship, especially down the last 3-4 holes. Kudos to him for getting back to where he really thought he could be, but that he probably doubted he would ever get back there again. And I think we saw in him an appreciation of what he had accomplished. Maybe not in the way that he felt when he won 4 majors in the space of 23, 24 months back between the 2017 U.S. Open and the 2019 PGA Championship, that first one played in May. It seemed from his reaction to everything that yes, he was elated and very happy to have won, but also grateful to have gotten this opportunity again, and maybe seemed to have a little bit different perspective, not necessarily on golf, but his place in it. I know he's not the golf history geek that probably a lot of people want the greats to be. He doesn't have to be, and I think that's kind of part of his personality and somewhat kind of endearing that he just goes out there and plays golf. He knows what he wants to accomplish. It doesn't really matter what anyone else has done before him. He's going to try and do it. And he did a great job with it. I thought the golf that he played looked like Brooks at his best major championship golf. It looked form-wise like a guy who was playing back to that style. And the thing that he does so well in major championships, well, he does a lot of things well in major championships, but one of the most important things that he does well in major championships is he never makes mental mistakes. He plays a very intelligent brand of golf that when he has it is extremely lethal, and when he doesn't have it is still pretty lethal. It's still pretty hard to beat. Because when he was making mistakes in the round, and he made, a handful of mistakes, I think he would probably say. But what he realized is that no one had capitalized on them, and that he could minimize the damage. That if he just made a bogey when he got into the hazard on 6, or on 17, knew the tournament was in hand, don't do anything stupid, take your medicine, get out and play, and go make your 5. Smart things like that he did consistently, that when people thought probably watching, oh, this could be a 2-shot swing, could be a 3-shot swing, he shut the door on that time and time again. And his lag putting, I think we do not appreciate enough. At least I don't think most people appreciate it enough for what it is. It was phenomenal. I mean, when he is putting like that, that's how you turn rounds that they don't look great from tee to green. I'm not saying he played poorly, but they don't look great tee to green. They're not wowing you for parts of the round. But you keep them going because you don't make mistakes. And in major championships, when you have easy pars, and then you set yourself up with birdies, and you can advance instead of just kind of treading water, it's really, really hard to beat. And Hovland found that out on Sunday. He didn't play bad golf at all. They both played a good round of golf. It just wasn't good enough to beat Brooks Koepka. And now Koepka again, 5-time major winner, 3-time PGA champion. And there are not many people in the history of golf who have 5 or more majors. He becomes the 20th among men, and then he's got really pretty close to the stroke play record for this championship with 3 stroke play wins since this tournament went to that style 65 years ago. It has been a pretty incredible run for Brooks Koepka to get back to this point in, the last 6 to 8 months. I think people, and myself included, I was doubtful when he won the LIV event in Saudi Arabia, and he got very emotional about it. Never know if I would win again. And that's kind of the peak of early just kind of disgust about LIV and going, well, yeah, but who did you beat? And it didn't seem like that big of a deal. But I think it was a big deal for him psychologically because he knew what he was working on with Claude Harmon III, who he went back to eventually afterward. And then what he was working on with physio trainers to try and strengthen his right knee back to where it needed to be, that it was getting him somewhere. And now that he won so far once on LIV and then contended at the Masters and then gets this done, I mean, it's a full validation of what the work he has put in. And on one hand, I know part of the inclination is to go, well, what does this mean for LIV, the PGA Tour thing? I don't think Brooks gives a crap. I really don't think he cares. He is not a rah-rah LIV guy. He has never been particularly one to poke the bear, one way or the other, by the way, about being on LIV. He made it very clear at the Masters he made this decision strictly from a business standpoint because he feared, given his injuries of the time, that he would never be able to get back to the point he has just gotten back to. And I don't get the sense that he's all of a sudden going to come out and be like, yeah, but LIV's the best. I mean, I'm sure he feels great about his competition, who he's playing with. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing it. But someone did try to jab him a little bit and poke the bear and say, well, you're going to talk to Greg Norman. He said, the only person I want to talk to is my wife, Jenna, and she's pregnant back home. He made it very clear and I think he has made it consistently clear throughout his career, he is only determined to win what he wants to win, and everything else doesn't matter. He wants to win majors. Other stuff that he wins, it's a cool consequence, but for him, the thing that gets him going, gets him interested in competitive golf is this scenario. So does this mean anything for LIV? I really don't think so. He hasn't been this big banner waver for LIV. They're going to play in the D.C. area this weekend, which I think is a mistake on a couple of different levels. One, this is a very liberal area. I don't know if you know, but Donald Trump is a Republican, and a lot of people in this area don't stand this guy very well. They don't seem to care for the Saudis and the Saudi-backed component of LIV. It's Memorial Day weekend, so a lot of people in this area get out of town or they go to pools, just kind of the culture of the area. And parking at the Trump place is not easy. It's not going to be easy to get to. It's kind of a pain in the neck to travel around here. So will people do that on a holiday weekend? I'm very curious what will happen. I have no prediction one way or the other, but we shall see. In the meantime, you've got Michael Block, who is an incredible second winner of this tournament. He had just the most wonderful week for a guy that's 46 years old. It's the pinnacle. It's the best week of his life. Even the most hardened person has to think for a second how cool that this is for him to be able to accomplish this. I know that there are a couple of folks who are like, oh, this has already jumped the shark. People are all over this guy. And I understand. He is a plus like 4.5. The guy's an incredible player. He's in the top 1% of players on the planet as it stands. He's had something like 24 PGA Tour starts. He's qualified for 2 U.S. Opens. He's played in 5 PGA Championships. He is not some guy they dragged off the street. But the difference between that guy who's a plus 4.5, almost a plus 5, and the quality of player that he contended with throughout the entire week and finished inside the top 15 with on Sunday, there's a huge gap between those things. I mean, I've said that before about anyone that's a plus player. The gap between being a plus player and being a professional golfer is stark. Very, very stark. And there's still a huge difference between even that caliber of player like Michael Block and a Rory McIlroy, who he played with on Sunday, which I think turned out to be the perfect pairing for him. Rory McIlroy is known to be a very accommodating guy, a comfortable guy to play with, very encouraging guy. I think he was the right partner for the situation. McIlroy was in contention, but he just couldn't get out the gate very well, opening birdie to a foot and then immediate bogey. I think he probably knew he was up against it, but they were playing pretty well, had a very nice week, had a really good rapport, it seemed. And then the shot on 15, you're never going to forget that for the rest of your life if you're him. And they're going to show this every single year for the rest of ours on the PGA Championship telecast. 7-iron, 151, jars it. I think he kind of knew when it went in, but he didn't see it go in, and no one told him, hey, it's in. So for him, he didn't get to see the ball go in the hole, but the reaction is incredible. They'll doff of the cap, asking Rory if it went in. Rory says yes, gives him a bro hug, gets him to even par at that point. Then he comes to the final hole, leaking oil a little bit, has to get up and down. He knows if he gets up and down, he gets into the PGA Championship next year because the top 15 and ties from the prior year get into the next year. So that would mean he would avoid any of the PGA Professional Championship qualifying. Wouldn't have to worry about that whatsoever. Not that he's worried about it. He's a great player. Makes a hell of an up and down. Harry Diamond kind of gives him the big thumbs up as the ball comes to rest on a really difficult shot. And he's facing, an 8-9 footer, 7 footer, I don't know what it was, for par. And he knew in that moment what that putt meant, not only to get into next year, but it also probably meant a lot of money. And it also meant being able to finish it off probably the way that he wanted. And doing it in front of what looked to be 10 or 15,000 people around that green and on that hole who were cheering him on. And for that putt to go in with that last roll, how can you not? I mean, it got a little dusty in my house. I mean, I think about a lot of things from the perspective of the person doing it and try to think about what they're experiencing in that moment. And I can't imagine. I just felt a flood of emotion and what that probably meant for him to see that last revolution, that last disappearance of the ball over the cup. And the reception that he got, first from McIlroy, who said it was effing awesome what he did in that hug that they had. That was great. The reaction from the crowd was incredible. It was like he had won the career Grand Slam and they were watching it. And then for him to kind of feed it back to him with a very grateful round of applause, hug his wife. What a cool week. And then once Koepka wins, he's walking his way up to the trophy presentation to be the low head club professional, and Koepka comes over and says, "Hey, I hear you're buying his drinks tonight," or whatever the line was exactly. And that was a cool reception too. And I think it's just a perfect encapsulation of what golf can be. There's no other sport that I'm aware of where this kind of thing can happen on this kind of stage. And this is something that was truly almost 40 years in the making. This kind of thing happens very rarely to the club professionals of this championship. The last time any club professional contended like this was like 1988. It's been a long time. And for the high finish that he had, I don't think there's been a better finish in at least 40 years, somewhere in that range. It's pretty incredible what he accomplished. The cool part for him is this continues. Takes a little victory lap this week. Gets to play at Colonial. Got a phone call not too long after the trophy presentation, or maybe after he signed his card. I don't know the exact timing of it, but the video is on social of getting a phone call from the tournament director at the Charles Schwab Challenge, inviting him to come play. His wife breaks down. His boss is getting lubed up on tequila, gives him the week off to go play. The Canadian Open chimes in, says, "Hey, we'd love to have you in Canada to play in our tournament." He's going to go play that. I would imagine he gets one or two more. Really enjoy his summer here. It's never going to be like this again. Like this, he knows this is it. Like this is the pinnacle. He's not going to turn pro. He's not going to go play the Champions Tour. He likes what he does. He likes giving lessons out in Mission Viejo, California. Doesn't have to give as many now because it's going to be like $250 an hour. He was charging $150 before, and now it's going to go up pretty substantially. And even the golf course itself increased the green fees for the people that were wanting to play in future weeks because they've got a verifiable star in their hands. Really, really cool. But just to see how he conducted himself. He knew he was enjoying the moment, soaking it all in, sharing the emotion of it, really embracing it all, not hiding it, not shying away from the moment either. Just really cool. And those types of things don't happen every day. And they really don't happen very often in sport. So for it to happen on this stage for him was great. I thought Oak Hill was wonderful as a host venue. As you might imagine, Bills fans probably got a little crazy in the Rochester area. They're just a really good sports area. Lots of great fans. They really show up, show out. They were great when they used to have the LPGA event up there, the Wegmans up there every year. They care about their sports. They had a good time. They showed up even when the weather was crappy. Oak Hill was incredible. I thought for sure on Saturday that we're going to call play at least once, if not twice. And they never did. They got it in. The course looked incredible on Sunday. It played great, even if a little bit softer. Very interesting test that Andrew Green has reshaped from the original Ross mold. The expanded greens were great ideas, really clever, kind of nooks and crannies for hole positions. It was a golf course where you had to care about position off the tee. You had to really play very smart golf on your tee shots. You didn't want to wind up short-sided. You had plenty of room to run. There were lots of clever slopes built into the enlarged greens. It was really good, and I think it should come back. And kudos to the PGA of America, by the way. When they announced that this tournament was going from August to May, they had already made the choice to host this tournament here. They could have gone to Oak Hill in advance and said, look, we think this is a bad idea. We're rolling the dice here. We don't want it to be a bad major. And I don't think anyone would have begrudged them. But they kept their word, and they did the right thing ultimately. They kept the championship here. They were rewarded with very nice weather on Sunday. Not the best weather on Friday afternoon, and for Saturday and Thursday morning there was a frost delay. But they played through it. They got through it. They were rewarded with a great championship, rewarded with support from great fans. I hope this comes back here. I hope this is I would like it as an every 10-year kind of thing. I wouldn't mind watching this venue again when I'm 50 years old and see where the game is and where it is. But we're going to see more Andrew Green work. He redid Congressional Country Club. We saw that last year for the Women's PGA Championship. It'll host a PGA in a little less than a decade, or about a decade. So that'll be interesting to see how that venue holds up. That's a ways from now. Next year is Valhalla in Kentucky, a place that they owned, but they sold. And we'll see how that goes. And then again, after that, I think we probably will not see Valhalla for a while, if maybe not ever, but for quite a while afterward, now that they don't own the venue. PGA Frisco is going to take on that kind of moniker, that kind of mantle as the course that the PGA of America goes to because they own it. And they do own Frisco. That'll be a cool venue a few years from now. We're going to see that actually this week for the Senior PGA Championship, the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship. They've got a major. We've got Colonial this week. Michael Block is one of 120 players in the field, but you got a really nice field. Something like 22 of the world top 50. Scheffler, Spieth, Homa, Finau, Burns, Fowler, Colin Morikawa, Hovland. Got a good field out there. Did mention Live Golf DC is here in the Northern Virginia area starting on Friday. A little bit weird with the Memorial Day weekend. We'll see how that goes. But they're standard 48. You got the KLM Opens, the Dutch Open, on the DP World Tour, and on the LPGA in Las Vegas, you got the Bank of Hope LPGA Match Play. Pretty decent field for that. It's been a tricky event to draw players to just because it's 5 days of match play, typically lead to a major. It's been tough to get people to play that as deep as they probably would like, but it is a fun tournament, similar format to the now dying WGC Dell Technologies Match Play with round robin play and then all kinds of group format, all that stuff. So we'll have that this week. Full slate, plenty to talk about, lots to come. I'm sure there will be more Michael Block news. I'm sure there will be some live stuff. We'll see about all of those things. And then, by the way, we've just got U.S. Open final qualifying kicking off today in the Dallas area. The first here. We had international ones already in Japan, which wrapped up, I believe, today, and one in England. Maybe two in England, I don't remember. And then we've got, next week, we're jumping right into golf's longest day. So lots to come, busy schedule, all kinds of stuff to work through, and we'll talk about some of that more tomorrow with you on the show. If you catch us as an audio-only podcast, we appreciate you listening. If you can give us a 5-star rating and leave a comment on the platform you listen to us, that would be very helpful. If you're watching on YouTube, consider subscribing to our channel, smashing that like button, leaving a comment. We appreciate that. Catch us any other way. Thanks for spending some part of your day with us, including on GNN Radio, which you are listening through iHeart or TuneIn and on golfnewsnet.com. Be back with another show tomorrow. Talk about some foolishness or something fun, or maybe we'll talk about more Michael Block. I don't know, but we'll be here with you. Talk about it all on 2 at the First. Thanks so much for watching or listening. See you tomorrow.